evening, sports fans, or rather film fans. How are you? I'm Scott. That's Rob. We're going to be operating on a slightly smaller crew today. Also, my ring light is Kabuzi, so I'm going to be a little dark today. But in this case, Ryan's unavailable, and so is Day, who, by the way, is catching the premiere of Mad Max Furiosa, Fury Road, Fury, and Fast and the Furious, or whatever that one is that right now. So he'll be doing a review on that in a little bit. But, sir, how are you in the meantime?
I'm great. It's a good day to be alive.
Good. It's a good day, although Day's not here, so how good can the day be without Day? So, all right, so we got a few things we're going to be talking about tonight. I got 3 topics for you, only one of which I told you about, by the way. 2 I think you're ready for. 1 I'm not sure you are, but that's going to be part of the fun of it, so let's roll anyway. Okay, kicking things off first and foremost in this regard. This was something that was sent to us just recently. We just found out that Disneyland, in an interesting little twist here, finally, after a long period of time, has voted to unionize. Now, the funny thing about this is Disney World has been unionized with Actors Equity since about 1990. But for whatever reason at this point, we don't know why, but just recently, Disneyland has actually opted to unionize. This is interesting in some regards because of the fact that it will force Disney to probably have to work a little bit more with the union itself, AEA, and provide a better scenario and better, conditions for a lot of the employees of the theme park, up to which there's about 1,700. Yes, sir.
So what does that mean that they want to unionize?
They would fall under Actors Equity, which means that at the bargaining table, when it comes to working conditions, health insurance, wages, et cetera,
kind of like Screen Actors Guild and all that, right? Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So just like with SAG, AEA would be in their corner. They would have the negotiating table. It would be the same kind of thing. Now, what makes this very interesting in this case is if AEA decides that Disney is doing things that are unethical, immoral, dangerous. There are certain scenarios in this case which they could be represented by. It might force Disney to either A, have to pay extra for certain scenarios. For example, if there's a qualified stunt, there may be extra wages involved with something like that. If there was a situation where somebody gets injured, then that would be something that AEA would be involved in. They may go after Disney to make sure that there is proper compensation should one of the performers themselves get injured. What is interesting about Disney also is that everybody at the theme park is considered an actor, and it doesn't matter if they are in a costume or somebody picking up garbage or the plumber or anything like that. They are considered actors because they are on display.
Wow.
Yeah, so it adds to the idea and the magic of the whole scenario.
Right.
Watching what some of these performers do, there could be some conditions there that are dangerous. I know those suits can get extremely hot in there, especially in summer. Some of the concerns that existed was from the standpoint of kids being kids, especially during the pandemic. Kids carried COVID. They'd hug the people in the costumes. The people in costumes would get COVID, get sick, and be out of work, and there you go, no money. So thoughts, sir?
So when you put Disneyland votes to unionize, does that mean this is passed, or it has to go through a certain tiers for it to actually go through?
What has to happen is it's for all intents and purposes, it's passed. But what has to happen is because the vote was like 950 to 258, 3-to-1 ratio, it has to go to the board who are going to approve it. And then, yes, it'll qualify.
Okay.
So the people, voted for it, the voting is through, and then the board itself has to approve. Similar to like a presidential election where you have the electoral votes, and then the electoral votes themselves vote for the president. The electoral vote is the presidency, the rest of it.
Yeah.
So this is, like I said, a big deal because you have wage earners there that are earning sometimes barely minimum wage, working very long hours under, like I said, very stressful conditions, very dangerous conditions. You get somebody who's going to basically be a little handsy, whether it be a kid, whether it be an adult, whatever the case is, man, woman, doesn't matter. This can help protect against that from an AEA standpoint. Additionally, what makes it more interesting is if push comes to shove and this gets really bad, then AEA could force the Disneyland employees to strike, which means there's no Disneyland.
Right. My question is, why is this now being brought up now and it hasn't already been? I think, like you mentioned, Disney World has been, has already done this, been unionized. Why wasn't Disneyland?
That I can't say exactly why. This is what's curious to me. I mean, why one did it in the 90s and the other one hasn't done it until now. The reason they did it now is because of COVID. COVID was the big catalyst for all this, because you get, these snotty, these, booger infested little kids that
So
would sneeze
basically,
on you.
they weren't covered once they got sick, and the employees are kind of sick and tired of that. And so they're like, hey, let's get unionized so that way if I get sick, I'm covered.
Yes. In this case, like I said, there would be unionized health insurance. It would fall under AEA, which is the same actors equity that is used for Broadway, for any stage productions, things like that. So it's a pretty big deal. It's surprising that it took this long, but
Yeah.
the concern, like I said, really a lot of it just stemmed from safety and health, because a lot of these folks were sitting there getting sick, getting hurt. It seems like it would be in theory safe because it's Disneyland. No, I mean, sometimes you trip, sometimes you fall, you got, injuries do happen. It is very common. You just don't see it.
Right. Because that would never happen at the magical land of Disneyland.
Of course not. No.
Of course not.
It
would ruin the magic.
Well, that's the idea. I mean, here's what I will say. I mean, a bunch of years ago, last time I was in Disney World was 2006. And I had the privilege of doing the behind the scenes tour where you see everything, how it's done. There's this whole underground tunnel system that they've got there, which allows you to go from one part of the park to the other very quickly. And you go through all this, you see all the dresses, you see all the system, you see how they keep it clean. It is a real cool behind the scenes. And then you're there just in time for the magical parade, and you still feel the magic of the parade. And I thought that was really cool.
That's pretty, yeah.
And then I also learned that Ariel's breast size is C cup. I learned that because I asked the tour guide, what is the weirdest question you ever got? And that was his answer. And then he said C cup, realized it was a joke, realized it also fit because C, and then it just stuck. So the more you know. I do not know if that actually also qualifies for the remake of Little Mermaid, but at least for the animated one with, with whatever the voice actor was. But it's funny because
Jodie Benson.
Is that the voice?
The original Ariel?
Yeah.
Yes, Jodie Benson.
Okay. Yeah, she's still.
I've met her a couple times, so.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk about GalaxyCon in a little bit because I know you're going to that this weekend. So we will discuss that in forthwith. But I think the problem with this is the fact that Disney right now, the reason this was done was over safety concerns, not financial greed or anything like that, but safety concerns that the actors in this case felt that they were not being provided, which is a little bit of another black mark in the eyes of, in the face of Disney, because it's like, okay, they had to unionize to protect themselves from you.
Right. And my question is, so it took 30, so they've been safe up till this,
Oh, they haven't been safe.
Well, no, but that's what yes, I understand COVID, but yes, COVID's still a thing, but it just, in my mind, it blows my mind that we're just now, it's been 30 years and they're just, it's like all of a sudden they woke up and said, hey, we have rights too. And obviously they do. I'm not demising that. It's just insane that they're just now doing this.
Yeah, what's interesting about it is, let me switch to this guy right here.
And when you say ADA, are you talking about the American Disability Act?
No, AEA, American Actors Equity.
Okay.
So if you look at basically what we got here, 1,700 employees, 953 to 258 is the vote on that. But like I said, the union itself, or the United Front, was called Magic United.
Okay.
And we support our cast members. Disney was proper in it. We support our cast members' rights to a confidential vote and everything like this. But it is a concern because, again, the work that's involved, I have heard some of the stories that come from some of this stuff. These guys are working long hours. They are not allowed by any stretch to ever take off those costumes.
Yes.
So Chewbacca right there, if it is 105 degrees and you're in a Chewbacca costume, if you get heat stroke and pass out, do not let the fans know about it.
Right. Is this why, because they weren't unionized, is this why Disney was able to let go people after COVID and stuff, was able to just let go people and not rehire them because they weren't unionized.
There could be some protection involved with something like this too, where if you are, let go, fired, whatever it is, you could theoretically file a grievance with AEA and say, this was unjust cause. It was discrimination by, age, ethnicity, basically, gender, whatever the case is.
Right.
It is plausible that you could make that argument depending on the circumstance. AEA can go after the union on that. SAG, I have never once filed a grievance with SAG over like being let go from something.
Right.
I have in certain cases where it's like, dude, I had dialogue, we got proof, I got to get paid. I had a situation like that with something, and you know what? They went to bat, they got paid on it. I have a claim out there right now to ensure that I still get residuals on something on cable, because residuals can be, a fair bit of money, which also might be something that with the union itself, as this happens, when the contract is up, AEA will contract with Disney and sit down at the table and be like, okay, this is our demands for our Disneyland folks. This is what they want, and then a haggle will happen. A strike may happen, just like you saw last year with SAG and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Where you will see something that they might be able to start, like I said, focusing on something more in, safety, mandated breaks. I mean, in that case, I don't really know what Disneyland employees get as far as breaks go, but it might be something where they might get bonuses. I know on my side for SAG, I get something called an out of season bump. So right now we're in spring. If I got to shoot something for winter and I'm in full winter gear, top to bottom, hats, gloves, scarf, the whole thing, I will get paid extra for it, and vice versa. So if I'm
you're putting yourself more in risk too, because you have it could be 100 degrees, but you're wearing snow clothes and stuff like that.
And I've done it. I remember I remember once, it was July and I had like a full parka on, hat and glove, and I can deal with that. That I don't really mind.
Yeah.
It's the other way around when I'm freezing my ass off. That's when I got a problem.
Yeah.
Despite being, 230 pounds in my case, I actually do really well hot. I just don't do well cold. So but like I said, in this case, that could be something that could really be beneficial for a lot of the Disneyland employees, because that is a tough job and nobody realizes it, because you were in character the full time until you were out of there. And I remember Mental Floss had a great article about like what it was behind the scenes for a Disney World employee, or Disneyland employee in this case, and the kind of stuff that you deal with. Like I said, you get, the drunk parents, you get the kids that are screaming and whining, pooping themselves, pooping on you, you get this family of 5, 6, 7, whatever it is, that have dropped $15,000. They want something for their 15 grand.
Yeah.
And they can sometimes be very, very difficult to deal with. So if you feel threatened in any way, you can file a grievance and AEA will go to bat for you, and Disney has to pay attention. Now, is AEA going to be completely, in your corner? It is a pick and choose a lot of times with unions. Sometimes they will, sometimes they won't. But I think for those guys, I think it's a benefit. Medieval times, when tried to do that a while back, where they tried to unionize, didn't go through. But the same kind of situation where these people on horses with jousting, were not unionized, and they wanted to be under AEA's protection there. It got downvoted for whatever reason, but But I know somebody who tried to spearhead that in California, and I think for AEA, it's a win. I think for the Disneyland employees, it's a win. I think for Disney, it could be, but for right now, it is not a win.
You're right.
Because it's going to be more, at the very least, it's going to be more money out of their pocket.
And they're already down on money as it is.
Yes.
Are
we good here? That'll bring up my next point.
Yeah. This is very interesting. I actually know a member that used to work at Disney. He doesn't anymore because they let go a lot of people after COVID. Like, just let them go. And but the person, he's on TikTok, and he was actually Spider-Man for a while. He got to be in the Spider-Man suit and stuff, and he does these happy, wholesome videos of talking about his Disney stories and stuff, and his name's Youth Pastor Ryan. But yeah, he was Spider-Man at Disneyland, and you get to kind of hear about his experience. More the positive ones, obviously, but yeah.
Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
I was gonna mention something because when you mentioned the Disneyland thing, I did this triggered me reading an article the other day about did you see the thing about no more Tinkerbell?
Oh, they're getting rid of Tinkerbell now?
Yeah.
Why? Because she dresses too provocatively?
I don't know if that's what it was, but something about Tinkerbell that it's no longer going to be at the parks or something like that.
Okay. Per Snopes, apparently that is not accurate. Here, let's share that.
Never mind.
Let me bring this one. Snopes is always like a great website for something like this. Cancel the Peter Pan character, Tinkerbell. So yeah, problematic for guests with young girls. Okay, but no. TMZ reported on May 15th about the canceled rumor. Apparently, Tinkerbell is still a thing, but supposedly the New York Times had started something. Looks like.
Okay, never mind.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. But that's the other side of it too. You look at certain things where it's like, this happened. No, it didn't.
Yeah.
It's like the internet will like jump on certain things,
right,
to fit somebody's personal psychological, bias. So if it's something where Tinkerbell is canceled because of woke culture, actually no, it isn't. It was proven false. That's actually not happening. Fake news. It's still happening. But yeah. So
that's why you don't believe everything you read on the internet.
Exactly. Abraham Lincoln said that. But yeah, Disney.
Well, really?
Yes, he did. Yes. I believe he said it in the Inquirer. It was something that he tweeted about back when it was still Twitter, not X.
Wow. That's
amazing.
Yeah.
So, but for Disney, it's going to get a little more interesting. Okay, you know what? I want to switch up a little bit because this is going to be something that you were aware of and you had heard about. This disappointed me. Yesterday, I'm channeling the Jersey here. Okay, yeah, we're talking yesterday. We're talking Jersey. We're talking Star Wars and Phantom Menace here.
I knew I should have changed into my Star Wars shirt.
You know what? Maybe you should have. It's okay. Don't worry about it. You're cool. It blows my mind, but it has now been 25 years since the release of Phantom Menace. The 25-year anniversary of the Phantom Menace being released in theaters was yesterday. Now, I know you went to go see it in theaters because obviously you're too young to remember when it was theaters the first time. I remember it. People were lined up for 2 months outside the theater just to buy tickets, just to see it on opening day. This was a magnanimous thing, bigger than anybody had ever seen. It was, I would say, probably the single most anticipated movie of all time. A lot of it had to do with that. When that trailer was released and people saw that, they went nuts.
Oh, that wasn't so they didn't even keep that so that they spoiled that in the trailer.
They did. Wow. What was funny is people basically, and I remember this back in the day because again, that was 25 years ago.
Right.
It was so well done. People would buy tickets to movies, watch the trailer for Phantom Menace, and then go home. They would pay for the movie ticket for some other movie, see the trailer, and leave. Because Star Wars was the most beloved franchise in history, bigger than Godfather. It resonated with all of us. I was 7 years old when Return of the Jedi came out. I had the action figures. I had the Kenner board game where you had to get the Force to stop to defeat Jabba the Hutt. I remember this board game. You had the little barge and everything. And so when the announcement was made of a new prequel series, people went nuts. Right. And like I said, they were online for 2 months to buy tickets. They camp out for it. Nobody knew anything about it. Nobody knew anything about Jar Jar Binks or anything that was in that. So, granted, I am aware of the fact that it is arguably the weakest film of the original 6 movies. I'm not going to deny that. But it had, like I said, some baller friggin' things in there. Jedi in their heyday. You brought back the originals. You see the origin of Anakin and Obi-Wan to a degree. There was so much magic, so much charm to it. And yes, there was a little more comedic in there than people wanted. Jar Jar Binks annoyed a lot of people. And I remember watching it in theaters and thinking to myself, if Jar Jar dies right now, I would be okay if he dies like a boss. Because he annoyed me the rest of the movie, but if he goes out like a boss, it's like, all right, fine. I can live with it. But my point is, All of that was 25 years ago yesterday.
Yeah.
And nobody said anything about it. Not a word was said, not a word was spoken. You went to go see it, yes. And there is something magical about seeing one of the original movies in Star Wars. I'm not even talking like some of the sequels, but you caught that magic a little bit there, when it comes down on the planet and you see the ship coming around. Why didn't Disney or Lucasfilm or anybody promote this?
I saw some. That's the reason why I knew it was in theaters, is because I saw there was some kind of promotion or something when I saw it. Then that's why I went and, I didn't just see it because it was advertised at my theater. I know what you're saying. There wasn't as much politicized, but there was something because I must have read it on Facebook or something. Yeah, Jar Jar Binks.
Jar Jar, listen, like I said, Jar Jar annoyed me, but if he died like a boss in the first movie, I would have been okay with it.
Here's the thing with Jar Jar, and he was the first character in history. I'm not talking about like Jar Jar, but like the actor himself. I don't know what the technique is called, and maybe you can correct me or know what I'm talking about. But Jar Jar was the first character where you were able to have a person basically walking and it be CGI'd or something like that, or
like a motion capture.
Yeah, he was the first character in history to do that. But what's sad about how, and you kind of just described how you basically already hated it, and Jar Jar Binks was either a character you really hate or you really like.
My mother loves Jar Jar Binks.
And that actually ruined the actor's career. And what's crazy about this movie, and rewatching it in theaters, yes, it was an amazing experience, and that's why I paid. I wish they would have did a discounted price because it is an already movie that's out. But I get it. I went ahead and paid my normal amount, and I went and saw this, and I enjoyed it. And it is funny. I felt bad for the actor. Yeah. The movie wasn't the best, but it definitely didn't deserve the hate it got.
It had some good. That movie has some good shit in it, though, man.
It really does.
That Darth Maul fight in there, even the pod race. The thing in the beginning, the scene in the beginning where Qui-Gon is sitting there with the lightsaber in the wall and just like burning the wall.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, dude, that is such a baller move.
Like, yeah, they're like, they won't get through. We'll stop it. And
yeah. The problem was also the complaint about, the very obviously Asian, greedy bankers clan. And so there was some concerns about the racial overtones in that movie.
And I mean, it ruined Anakin's career. The
Jake
boy.
Lloyd. Jake Lloyd. Here's the thing. I've told this story a few times over the years. I mean, I'm going to give my own story and just explain with Jake Lloyd why it's not like times 1,000. When I did America's Got Talent, now 9 years ago at this point, I was humiliated, embarrassed, and berated, on a global scale for about 2 weeks. Having people follow me on, just on Twitter, tracking me down, getting my email, getting my phone number to basically talk about how much I sucked and I should just kill myself. It was a really friggin' hard experience. Man. I lapsed into depression for 2 weeks and I wanted nothing to do with it. Now, 9 years later, whatever, don't care. But at the time, dude, it is brutal. Even now I struggle actually watching that video because, the booing just kind of brings back flashbacks. But right. At the time, I was 30 something years old. I was not a 9-year-old kid.
Yeah.
That is, if AGT crushed me, the biggest movie in cinematic history, crushing a 9-year-old kid, I'm amazed that kid's even alive. He's messed up, for life, yes. But I'm amazed he's still alive.
He's in a mental institution to get recovered or something like that. That's the quickest.
Yeah, I heard he's like a schizophrenic or now something.
Yeah, I know he was diagnosed schizophrenic in 2008, and then was in jail, and then now they moved him from jail into a mental health rehabilitation for 10 months or something, or 14 months, and that was like 10 months ago or something like that.
Yeah.
I was looking it up because I had a friend ask, because I mentioned what happened to the kid, and they're like, what do you mean? And then I looked it up, and I said, see, and I showed them that, the two that took the hardest hit were Anakin and Jar Jar Binks in this movie. Because, like the actor said, this actually ruined his career. And even though he was the first character to do the stop motion, is that what you said? Stop motion?
Yeah, motion capture.
Or motion capture, sorry. Because of all the hate, he stopped acting. Now he's acting again, but he stopped acting for a long time because of it.
But what sucks about this is Ahmed Best has shown up in other Star Wars material as like a Jedi. I've seen some stuff in there.
He came back for that the one series. Sorry, my brain's not working.
Yeah, no, it's okay. But because he showed up. I don't know. To be honest with you, I kind of stopped watching Star Trek.
He was in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, right?
Was he? Okay.
He was in one of the Disney Plus.
I think maybe Ahsoka.
Or maybe it was. Okay, yeah, maybe it was Ahsoka. Somebody can correct me, but he started getting some popularity because of that, and they're like, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks just did an amazing job as this character.
Well, yeah, but see that, like I said, this is where not just him, but also Hayden Christensen. He took a lot of. He was what I think like 19 or 20 when he was cast as Anakin Skywalker. The girl that played Rose Tico in Last Jedi, which I realized the more I saw Last Jedi, the more it bothered me. But again, it's one of those things that you have devoted hardcore fanaticism in fandom. And it's not just Star Wars, it's Star Trek, it's anything. I mean, geez, Law and Order has like a devoted like fandom. It's like, oh my God, the freaking, Sam Waterston, freaking, it's like, it's this devoted fanaticism that turns into obsessive hate. Fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering. And, Hayden Christensen had a problem, but now he's redeemed in a lot of ways. He's in the Ahsoka series. He was really, honestly, the best part of the Ahsoka series in my mind.
And the Obi-Wan Kenobi series was
yes. Also, that's, yeah. Him and Obi-Wan and Ewan McGregor were the best parts of that series, too.
Yes.
The OGs of the original prequel series. But you had a 25-year anniversary. In this case, that's even more of an example of what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Jake Lloyd, the kid deserves something. He got, he had Jingle All the Way. He was the kid in Jingle All the Way from 96.
Yeah.
He was the kid that wanted the Turbo Man action figure.
I wanted Turbo Man.
The Turbo Man. Put that cookie down. No. And he was that guy. And it was something, like I said, to go from that to Star Wars. It's like, oh my God,
It's like every kid's dream, and then to stop acting. Basically, I think stopped acting either the year of that movie or by 2005. I mean, it wasn't shortly after that movie he stopped.
Yeah, no, because it is that the hate itself. And again, there's two groups of out there. People that understand what it's like to be hated and people that don't. And like I said, mine was like this compared to this kid's this.
Yeah.
And if it beat down a 38, 39-year-old guy for 2 weeks, and even afterwards, I mean, God, I can't even imagine what that kid went through. Like I said, the fact that he's still alive, it blows my mind. But Natalie Portman got a free pass on that because she had, the Professional or Leon or whatever you want to call it. Ewan McGregor, Liam Neeson, they already had, cred there. Sir Ian McDermott was already in the last one. Samuel L. Jackson was, Samuel L. Jackson.
Right. Which is hilarious. And I'm sorry. I mean, I've seen the Star Wars, but I never put the connection that Natalie Portman is Jade Foster. And I was like, hey, there's Nick Fury, Jade Foster.
Well, it's funny because people don't even remember that Keira Knightley was in. That's where Keira Knightley got her start. Before Pirates of the Caribbean, she was the actual body double. So
wow. But yeah, I never put that connection until yesterday when I saw her name pop up on the screen. I was like, wait a minute, that's Jane Foster. I was like, oh, no wonder people like her.
By the way, just real quick, we'll go to this topic in a minute. We'll come back to it. I just need you to fill out a form for GalaxyCon, but you guys are both on the list. But they want you to fill out something. So
yeah.
But we'll get into that. I'll send it to you afterwards. But I figured you'd want to know now. So okay. So didn't Jackson have criteria? They need to be added in the movie for him. Yes, his lightsaber had to have a certain initial on there. Brian Michael Frank, I believe, was the actual initials that were supposed to be on his lightsaber, and the request that he had a purple colored lightsaber in episode 2, which he did. And quote unquote for episode 3, he does not go out like some bitch.
Which I mean, he and that's why now
Dude, his death was awesome in that movie.
Speaking of Samuel Jackson, there's room. I mean, because obviously we never saw a body. There is a chance that he could be alive, and that he wants. No, well, I'm saying in a recent interview, he said he wants them to make a Disney Plus show about the character and that he's still alive. So I mean, we never saw a body.
Here's the only thing I could say. You know, I mean, he didn't show up in the sequels. He's not canonical to that. And his death was such a turning point for Anakin. It was so well done, brilliantly well done. You know, that one snap moment where Anakin cuts off his arm, he gets thrown, he gets shot out the window, and Anakin has this feeling of remorse of what have I done? And he realizes he can't go back. He can only go forward now. That was such a well done scene in so many ways that, you know, and it shows just how quickly, and this is where each movie I think got better than the last.
Yeah.
It shows that sometimes your entire life can be changed by a snap decision in a moment.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, he had an opportunity. If he didn't, Mace Windu would have killed Palpatine, which would have cleaned everything up. There would have been some issues, but at least the Sith would have been resolved. And, you know, there would have been trust for Anakin. They probably would have promoted him to Master. It would have given him the ability to get to the Jedi archives to save Padme. Maybe he gets expelled from the Order. I don't know. But in that snap 1 minute judgment moment, he betrayed the Order, betrayed everything he traded for, and the only friend he had left was Palpatine. And it was like, oh, that was so. I remember watching that scene. Going into Revenge of the Sith, and I'm getting off topic. I'm sorry, I'm getting hyper. There were like 5 different things in that movie that I was Jones to say. You know, the fight against Darth Tyrannus again, Count Dooku, the turn of the, you know, basically Order 66, the fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan, the first time you heard Darth Vader's voice, the battle against Grievous. I mean, there was like 5 different things throughout the course of the movie that weeks leading up to it, I was so excited to see. And I got every single one of them. And Revenge of the Sith, to me, was an absolutely fantastic movie.
It really is.
You know?
And I love the scene of, Anakin, you were supposed to be the chosen one. You were supposed to be balanced to the Force. Not into darkness.
And then, of course, the joke about high ground and hello there. You know,
I've got the high ground, Anakin.
Yeah, Yoda got to fight the Senate. Here's the thing, that was awesome too, but I did not know that scene was coming. I didn't know about that, but I knew what going into it, what to expect. That was just cool. Where they're sitting, that were like Sidious is literally throwing the Senate, table or seats at them, which also shows the dissolution of, basically the destruction of the Senate physically and metaphorically.
Which I will say, watching the first one, like rewatching it in theaters, and actually obviously paying attention, it was interesting hearing little things that like Palpatine said, like we'll be watching your career, and I was like, yeah, right there. And then if Liam Nelson's Qui-Gon
Liam Neeson, Qui-Gon Jinn, yeah.
If he never died, Anakin would have never went to the dark side, I think. That's why, like, the whole Battle of the Fate song or whatever, when they're, you know.
The name of the song was Duel of the Fates, because Darth Maul's obligation and what he was told to do was kill Qui-Gon. Because if you do Qui-Gon, he can start to, Palpatine can start to manipulate Anakin. Because again, Obi-Wan didn't want to basically train him. Obi-Wan thought he was useless, and he only did it out of moral obligation. Qui-Gon was ready to leave the Order to train the kid.
Right. Because, and there was a high force in obviously Anakin, because obviously he's the most powerful Jedi, but
I mean, it's funny. The fans back then were a little annoyed. It's like, why does Obi-Wan have a master in Qui-Gon? Wasn't there a scene in there in episode 5 or Empire Strikes Back where he's like, wasn't I a bad student when you trained me? And eventually they explained it, but there was a lot of good things about Phantom Menace.
The only thing that frustrated me between Phantom Menace and the sequel of it, Attack of the Clone, which, I mean, obviously they had to, but I don't like the whole time jump thing.
Okay.
When they just go straight 10 years later, Anakin hasn't seen his mom, or, you know.
Well, that's another thing, too. It's like, what could I have done there? But
Well, no, I mean, you're right. You're right, but it's just like, I hate time jumps because it's like all this stuff happens, and like, if Anakin would have been there for his mom, you know, and then that's what definitely put him in.
I hate sand. It's coarse. It gets everywhere. You know, it's not soft like you. And he's sitting there like fondling her arm. Well, yeah, it's funny. It's funny. There's that meme for Attack of the Clones. It's like, you know, why is Padme like, you know, crushing on Anakin when like Obi-Wan is like right there, muscle built, trim, you know, muscle built with a beard and everything like that.
It was great during May the 4th be with you. Speaking of Star Wars, and I know we're probably going to get off this, but it was funny. Me working at the hospital, I do the patient rooms and stuff. And one of the people was patients. They were watching Star Wars, and it was the 5th, and they were still playing. They were playing this trilogy, and Revenge of the Sith. The last one was playing. And it was funny as I went to the break room, I decided to turn on TV, and they're about to have the big zoom, 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 you know, and then it goes to commercial. So I get off break and I go to the patient room that I knew was watching Star Wars. He was watching Harry Potter, but I said, hey, the best scene of Star Wars is about to be on. He turns it right over, and I'm cleaning the room and then I got to hear the whole scene. It's like, you were supposed to bring balance to the Force.
No, you're supposed to bring balance to the Force. Not, you know, destroy the Sith, not join them.
You were supposed to destroy the Sith.
You're my brother, Anakin.
Them.
I love you. You know, and like I said, there was a lot.
Like a brother, Anakin.
You know, and then we got the first, Grand Moff Tarkin and everything. But tying a little bit, I mean, Clone Wars, Dave Filoni did a fantastic job of bridging the gap between episode 2 and 3, even overlapping a little bit past episode 3 with Clone Wars, you know, with Order 66.
Clone Wars, I realized this today that the character Jango Fett is the same actor that plays Boba Fett in the TV show.
Tamora Morrison, yes.
But they're not the same character because Boba Fett's his son, right? Jango, yeah. So it was kind of weird that he played the dad and he got to play the son.
I kind of like that though. I thought that was a good way of handling it. I thought it was classy, a really classy maneuver, because you gave, you know, this guy who's been out of the limelight for a little while, you gave him a chance to have a series. Now, the Book of Boba Fett was terrible,
which it was Mandalorian 2.5.
You have a 6-episode series on Boba Fett. You have this bounty hunter that decides to be a crime lord and suck at it, and 1/3 of the entire series does not involve your main character, number 1 on the call sheet.
Yeah.
The best parts of those series, by the way, were the Mandalorian / Luke Skywalker stuff. You know, when they had Mando in there, I thought, okay, they're going to build this, so they're going to have something where they're going to have Mando and Boba Fett together side by side. I'm like, okay, this is cool. And then Mando goes off, and then you have these scenes over here with Luke and Ahsoka, and I'm like, wait a minute, now you're going in a separate direction again? And then, of course, there's that, yes, you know, which that was purely a Disney executive and not a Filoni / Favreau decision there, where season 2 ended.
His name is Grogu and not the child, so there you go.
Yeah, well, Grogu, like I said, season 2 ended with Grogu going with Luke. Luke had his most badass moment in his entire character, which was great, and it was fun. And then I figured season 3 will be a little different, and it was. But dude, it's like, but see, this is where I wonder a little bit when it comes to episode 1, as I'm trying to bring this back somewhat. You know, did Disney try to sweep it under the rug? There's a YouTuber that I know by the name of Tampa J, and he vlogs, he travels, and all this kind of stuff. He went to Disney World on the 25th anniversary of Star Trek. I'm sorry, oh my God, Star Trek. The 25th anniversary of Star Wars Phantom Menace. He went there yesterday at Disney World, and he was literally the only person at Disney World celebrating the 25th anniversary. Everything was on the sequel series.
The actual anniversary was yesterday?
Yeah, May 19th. May 19th.
Wow. So I didn't realize I saw it
Oh
on
yeah,
the anniversary.
I thought you did that on purpose, honestly.
No, because it was in my theater for like the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I just so happened to go yesterday because yeah, no, I didn't know it was the actual anniversary. Well, that's even cooler. I would have added that in my post. I didn't realize that. That's
There you
cool.
go.
Wow.
Yeah, you literally saw it on the day. But
that I saw that perfect day. I'm gonna have to bring that. And what was cool is I went with my best friend, and he didn't originally want to see it because he's like, the last time I saw this movie wasn't good. But it was like, he saw it when he was a kid, and then when we re-saw it, he loved it, and I loved it, and I love how Jar Jar Binks' catchline for that entire movie. And I want to start using this as "How rude!"
Oh God, is that going to be your new thing?
when you're rude to me, I'll be like, "How rude!" No, just
like I said, Jar Jar was George Lucas's attempt to out Ewok the Ewoks, I think. But like I said, Tampa J, and you look him up. He travels all over the place. He's a video blogger. I got to know way back in his infancy, and he went to Disney World because he lives in Tampa, and he was the only person celebrating Phantom Menace yesterday. Nothing at Disney World for the 25th anniversary. Everything was sequel series.
And this brings to your point too, because they did the same thing with your favorite series, Lord of the Rings.
Which I did bitch about recently also. The fact that Lord of the Rings, they didn't do any anniversary on that, and now Peter Jackson's doing a 2-movie Hobbit series without any base material. And I'm just like, are you shitting on the legacy here? Please don't. It's like,
but it's got
you got a free pass with the Hobbit, as slow as that was.
It has to be. Do you think it has to be somewhat good for Andy Serkis to come back as Gollum, or he's just doing it for the paycheck?
I think Andy Serkis is just taking the paycheck. He's like 67 years old. Remember, because he was also King Kong too, and a bunch of other stuff.
Right.
He's been a mainstay.
He was Caesar.
Yes. Also. But he's been a mainstay with Peter Jackson for decades now.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you. The Hobbit stretched 1 book into 3 movies. I can survive if you did The Hobbit as two books, maybe. You have a 300 page,
right?
What's that?
They were 3 hour a piece too, right?
Yeah, because there was so much filler. It wasn't even The Hobbit anymore. It was just this. It was something that I think the studio execs were like, Peter Jackson, make this. You're contractually obligated. And it's like, okay. He also apparently had no time to prep. With Lord of the Rings, he had 2 years before even filming to prepare everything, to get the sets done, to get everything going, the script outline. He had 2 years to prep before the first day of filming. He had 6 months on this one.
Dang. And did that series ever do good, the Hobbit one?
Financially, it wasn't bad. It did turn a profit. It had some decent moments, but they added so many characters. Legolas was not in the book. Radagast was, I believe, only mentioned. He was not actually in there, although Sylvester McCoy, I like Sylvester McCoy. Seventh Doctor gets some love.
Met him.
Sylvester, like I said, that part was okay. But the Hobbit series, I grew up on the original Rankin Bass.
Right.
The greatest adventure is what lies ahead. I can sing the songs at this point. So when I saw they were doing The Hobbit, I'm like, you're doing it at 1 movie? Sure. 2 movies, maybe 3 movies. Dude, it's not The Hobbit anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not a problem if you enjoyed it and everything like that. And I had no issue there. To me, though, as a purist, I was like, I could forgive a lot of the stuff with Lord of the Rings. The way that they handled, Saruman at the end. I'm cool with that. Getting rid of Tom Bombadil for timing. I can work with a lot of stuff like that to a degree. But there were so many changes to The Hobbit from the book to the movie. It did not feel like The Hobbit to me anymore. And that bothered me.
Right.
It just, the sets were great. Martin Freeman, to his credit, was really well done. Benedict Cumberbatch's Smaug was good. And a lot of the cast was good. But it just didn't feel like The Hobbit to me. It just felt like something where it's like, this is the source material and go. Granted, is it better than like Rings of Power? Rings of Power is definitely a series that people can watch with a television or a device. Yeah. Rings of Power was terrible. My God, that was, oh, dude. How did that cost $1 billion? I remember something recently. I remember something after Rings of Power, the first season. They're like, this is the first television series in history that if it bombs, it may actually cost you extra to buy your toaster.
But yeah, so to wrap this up,
yeah,
they basically, they didn't give it much advertisement. They put it in theaters. I mean, when me, my mom, and my best friend went, it was only us three. There was only three people at the 4 o'clock show, and I understand 4 o'clock. There may have been more at the 7, but yeah.
And plot lines that made no sense.
They should have hyped it up more. Maybe they will with the sequel, which would be
Disney has tried to sweep the prequel trilogy under the rug as much as they can do. I've seen like the children's books, like when I'm sitting there at the supermarket. There's no reference to that, but there are references to episode 4, 5, 6, 7, and 9.
That's how I knew about this actually. Not my theater, but other theaters did customized movie buckets and movie cups for this movie. Yeah. That's how I knew. Yes, the AMC or one of the companies did specialize and brought it back for the theaters. They did a Jabba the Hutt that actually talked or made noises or some kind of bucket thing. But yeah, that's how I knew. It took me a second.
Nice. Okay. Well, like I said, maybe they'll do something for episode 2 or at least episode 3 when we hit 25 years. Because also keep in mind, we're also closing in on 20 years since Revenge of the Sith, which is nice. All right. One more big topic that I want to go into here. Speaking of Disney, which apparently we're talking back to. Oh boy, this one saddens me also. I'm going to set this up, share this tab over here. La 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 la. Doctor Who ratings through 3 weeks. Entertainment industry, stop fighting your customers. I want to show this first of all. Yes.
Scott, you're good at this. I don't know much about Doctor Who, so I'm gonna pop out for this one.
Just stay put and just nod your head. That's okay.
I've got to do something real quick, so I'm gonna turn off my camera.
All right, that's fine. Then I'll handle it on my own. Okay, so all by myself. Rob's not here, but maybe Kyle can answer, or someone else can comment about this anyway. This right here, by the way, what you're looking at, this is the ratings for the first season of Jodie Whittaker's era, the 13th Doctor. If you look at basically we have 3 categories here. We have the overnight ratings, we have the 7-day ratings, TV specific, and then 7-day ratings across 4 screens, mobile devices, tablets, all this kind of stuff. A lot of different ways of being able to handle it. So yeah, Dr. What? Actually, it was more like Doctor Who's going to watch this is where I'm going with it, which is, damn it. That would have been a great tagline. Oh, shoot. I've had an opportunity there. You look at basically really, in this case, look at the ratings on the left and the right. That's the ones that matter the most. The left and the right are the ones that matter. So basically, if you look at the left ones, the Woman Who Fell to Earth was the first episode of Doctor Who at 8.2 million. Not bad. Not bad. It decreased throughout the season, and obviously there was a lot of problems with the show. We work into, like, say, season 2. These are the numbers here. You can see a steady decline. Season 3 for Jodie Whittaker's era, further decline. So by the time of the first episode of Jodie Whittaker's era to the final episode of Jodie Whittaker's era, there was about a 60% drop in the viewership on this. 3.21 versus originally on the first episode, 8.2 on the left. 11 million all the way down to 11 million down to 5.3 on that part. So this is painful. The ratings are now in for the Ncuti Gatwa era. These are the ratings for the first 3 episodes, including last night. Now, we have the overnight ratings for his first era, and the +7 ratings for across 4 screens. If you remember the Jodie Whittaker first episode, she pulled an 8.2 on the overnight ratings and almost 11 million on +7 and a TV +4. So again, 7 days after the fact. This is the UK numbers, by the way. This is the flagship location of Doctor Who, the UK, United Kingdom, where it's filmed, where it takes place, mostly. You have a 60, almost 70% drop-off from Jodie Whittaker's era to Ncuti Gatwa's era. 70% drop-off. And it continues to drop. Do I think it's a lull of interest? Yes, I think that's part of it. I think also it has to do with the fact that they're coming out and going right after the fan base. You know, Chudigatwa himself was like, well, if you don't like it, go touch grass, which means basically, direct translation, go outside. The tagline that I had here is stop fighting your customers. You know, this is becoming a trend in Hollywood and the entertainment field that has bothered me for some time, where the approach is not, you know, our writing is bad, our approach is bad. It's your fault for not watching it. You are to blame for the fact that this show isn't getting the ratings, and you are a racist, misogynistic piece of shit if you don't watch it. No, it's the fact that you are fighting your paying customers. You know, here's the thing. My poop doesn't. Yeah, sometimes it could be an ego thing, but also there's so much money, I think, riding on this a lot of times where you have, you know, your job is on the line if this doesn't perform. So what do? You blame shift. It's someone else's fault. You know, the critics like it. Okay, fine. But the fans are not engaged. And speaking as the guy, and I'm going to toot my own horn, very play on for a sec. I am the guy who runs Streampunk Entertainment. Everything that happens on this comes through my eyes. And if people don't like something and they trash me for it, I do not go after them for it. I ask them why. You know, I have done videos in the past where people are like, this makes no sense. You're stupid. This, you know, and my response is why? Why do you feel that way? I don't sit there and I don't tell them to go touch grass. I don't tell them to get out. I don't tell them to not watch. You know, I don't call names. I don't do anything like this. I just moved my camera. I was so pissed. I don't do anything like that. Because at the end of the day, when you are in the entertainment field, your job is to entertain your customer base. Your job is to sit there and basically give them something that is worth their time. And this is the problem with the entertainment field now. They are no longer doing that. They're putting what they want out there, and it's your fault if you don't watch it. No. Dude, we are on a TikTok, YouTube, and world now. This is well past the era of basically having 25 channels on cable. Whatever's on is on. You know, if the president's talking or there's a news release, you're getting nothing. I remember when Nelson Mandela showed up. It killed all my cartoons that day. If this was this era, we have somebody coming in, great. I'll go on TikTok. I'll go on YouTube. YouTubers get this, and the entertainment field does not. Matt Pat just retired. Matt Pat had 4 different channels based on what people's interests were. He never took a stand. He never said, you have to watch this based on this. Matt Pat and all of them, and Santi and all those guys, and, Amy and the rest of them, they are very attentive to what the customers want, what the viewership wants, because their business is built on that aspect of it. And for some reason, the holier than thou mentality that the entertainment field has that says that they are better than you and they are smarter than you pisses off you. I'm not smarter than you. I'm probably dumber than most of you, honestly. But like I said, if you guys want something specific, that's why a lot of times in my videos, I'm like, at the end of the day, I work for you. You tell me what you want and I will figure it out. That's important to me. That interaction is important. And the entertainment field, I think, has lost that that sort of bond where it's an us versus them, not an us. And that's what bothers me about this. Nothing to worry about. Taking risks is fine. Well, the fallout from this caused the future seasons to be planned. I think the future seasons might be canceled. I think this is a show right now. And if you look at the numbers again, like I said, these are the overnight ratings for the first 3 episodes of Doctor Who. Jodie Whittaker's era, which was challenging, had 8.2 on the TV overnight. Chudigatwa's 2.6. That is like a 70% loss, from the previous Doctor to the current one. I'm not talking the David Tennant specials in between. They were honestly, their numbers weren't that great either. They're kind of in the middle. But I think it's going to lead to the cancellation of Doctor Who. Now, here's where it gets more interesting. Disney is extremely tight on the numbers on this. Supposedly, if I understand correctly, Disney paid $125 million for the rights to air Doctor Who.
Wow.
That's a lot of, which ties into the whole losing money on the actors' equity thing in the beginning. They supposedly paid $125 million to take it from BBC America and put it on Disney+. There are rumors that they have not even cracked 100,000 viewers on the streaming service per episode. I had heard something from a couple of sources on this, and I trust the sources that they're knowledgeable. I don't have proof, but I've heard it from sources that are known throughout the YouTube community as being respectable. And if other YouTubers respect them, I'm kind of inclined to.
Now,
They drew 53,000 in the first episode. Good.
have you seen this series at all? The new one?
No, because Disney Plus doesn't make it cool.
Well, I'm only asking because I've had a couple people that I watched their reviews, and they said it was actually a good series.
It is, but it's one of those things that, to me,
you go based on views.
Go ahead. I gotta sneeze, so please go ahead.
Okay, I was gonna say, I know you usually go. I mean, you probably look at it and see how the views are on it, and if it's got good ratings, then you give it a shot, right? Is that how you?
No, I mean, here's the thing. I've been a fan of Doctor Who for a while.
Right.
I had a really, really hard time embracing Matt Smith. It took me an entire year before I embraced Matt Smith after David Tennant, because it broke my heart when David Tennant had the line, "I don't want to go." Oh, dude, it killed me right through. But I embraced Matt Smith. I was saddened when he left, but I was curious about Peter Capaldi. I was curious about Jodie Whittaker. I'm like, okay, they got some potential here. I'm intrigued to see where this goes. And honestly, the first episode of The Woman Who Fell to Earth, the Jodie Whittaker episode, I thought it was honestly a pretty good episode. I liked it. I liked the fact that the Graham character, what I thought was really clever about that was the Graham character, the older guy. He didn't go because he wanted to see the universe. He wanted to go to protect his dead wife's grandson, his step-grandson, who wanted to go. He didn't want to go. He just wanted to lounge out and chill. But he wanted to protect his dead wife's grandkid. I thought, that's pretty deep. And I thought that was an interesting way of being able to handle that. I was really impressed. And then all the characters just shit themselves. I mean, the kid had a muscular disorder where he couldn't ride a bicycle. They would randomly forget about that in episodes, and he'd run a quarter of a mile. They had episodes in there where they would basically make themselves look good by having characters live in peace and harmony in a safe room for 6 months until they ran out of food. But there's no way in, no way out, and they all die. But it's a happy ending. It was just badly written stuff over the course of the season.
We're kind of like in the last season of Game of Thrones, there was a Starbucks coffee, and that's
that's another thing entirely, yeah. But dude, you can't. The pandemic, to be fair, was like 3 or 4 years ago at this point, and especially when it comes to something like, tablets. This is not something like theater where you have to go and see it.
Right.
I mean, I have literally in this room, I'm in my basement. I have 3 devices right here in front of me that I can watch Doctor Who off of right now. So, the reason why I think theaters are hurting is because people actually would rather watch TikTok videos than sit for 2.5 hours in a theater for $25 a ticket.
That too, and it kind of, the whole Star Wars thing's being in theater right now, it hurts box office that you can just go get a Disney Plus account and be able to watch them all.
Oh, yeah. That, and like I said, YouTube. I mean, it's weird because, I mean, like I said, you look at these numbers. That third episode, the overnight numbers, 2.04 million. This is the UK, its flagship location.
What about the United States?
The United States is Disney Plus. That's streaming, so they're very, very strict on how they release those numbers, because if those numbers get released, then the unions are aware, the writers are aware, and then residuals tie into it. So we talked about residuals before.
Yeah.
If the streaming numbers get publicly released, then a lot of the unions would end up going after residual income, which would hurt the profit line of the Netflix, the Hulus, and all these kind of stuff. So streaming numbers are kept very close to their chest.
Just not the UK and stuff.
No, these are the UK BBC TV numbers.
Okay.
Because in the UK, it's still publicly broadcast on BBC. Here, you have to have a stream. You have to have Disney Plus to watch Doctor Who.
Okay, so over in the UK, it would be like a regular program that you would watch on regular cable.
Absolutely.
That you would have to wait at a certain time to watch it. Out here, it's on a streaming platform that you can watch it over and over and over.
Yes. What used to happen here is they would run it on BBC America, which for our cable network that we have here is channel 101. So 8 o'clock, BBC America would have it and run it, and you could DVR it or watch it, whatever the case is. And, it was available to everyone. But Disney supposedly, like I said, paid $125 million to get this. And their numbers are worse than anything that Echo had, or the Obi-Wan series, or Ahsoka, or any of the stuff. The fact that it is now forced to Disney Plus, and if you notice, by the way, now that we're 3 episodes into the season, You're not seeing a lot when it comes to the ratings from a PR standpoint. The ratings on Disney Plus. If the ratings were great on Disney Plus, do you think the PR department would be like, look how great this is. Everybody's watching. Buy it.
Right.
And I'm spitting on my laptop now. So yeah, well, that's the other side of it too. There's an audience split, but the advantage also is the fact that there's so many options based on your personal interests. So if you don't want to sit there and watch, Robin will sit there and she'll watch documentaries out the wazoo. I'll sit there and I'll watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine or Always Sunny. It's just there's so many options now that you can pick and choose whatever you want to do. And Crunchyroll, okay, yeah, okay. The Disney Plus bundle where you get Hulu and again, like I said, Always Sunny and everything else to tick. Crunchyroll, the anime haven that is Crunchyroll. So there's so much there that you don't have to sit there and watch what people tell you to watch. Right now there's probably I don't know, tens of millions of options right now. If you factor in like every YouTuber would say 100,000 subscribers or more, everything that's on TikTok. Probably tens of millions might even be an understatement. Dude. If they remove ESPN, the idea though that in the United States, and this is something we may bitch about later, the fact that everything is being moved away from cable. This is something that, and Kyle, since you're watching this, you'll appreciate this. It is a statistical fact that it is less expensive for Carolina Panther fans to have a season ticket to watch their team at home than it is to actually be able to watch all their games through all the streaming services this year. Because the football games are on Netflix, on YouTube TV, on Peacock, and all Amazon Prime, and all the systems that they got. That it is actually, as bad as the Carolina Panthers are, it's less expensive to actually have a season ticket package than it is to actually be able to watch everything on streaming.
That's insane.
Because everything's moving away from cable. So I count things like YouTube and whatnot that isn't paid for. Okay, I do count that because YouTube is free, and that's where I think a lot of people like it.
Right.
In this ramen, buy ramen noodles on bulk generation that we are now in. MLB TV. Oh yeah, MLB TV is another one.
Because YouTube, you can basically get all the good scenes of whatever movie, and you can skip through the filler. Because a lot of times, there will be, you can look up something and they'll take out all the filter and give you the important stuff you need to know.
Yeah. How many times have I gone on YouTube and watched the scene where Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come through the portal?
Right.
Probably at least 20 times at this point. Do I have to watch the movie? No.
No.
Do I want to watch the scene where Ron and Diane get married in Parks and Rec? Yeah, I'll just look it up.
Or there's probably a shortened version of the Hobbit thing where it takes out all the filter.
The Battle of Pelennor Fields, the Battle of Minas Tirith. You can put so much good content on YouTube. Amazingly. Look what I did with this channel. Look at how many hundreds of subscribers and thousands of watch hours I got just from the X-Men 97 intros.
Yeah.
We picked up on this channel, I don't even know, but probably 750,000 views on the channel just from those 10 videos. I'm ballparking. It might be over 1 million. It probably actually could be over 1 million at this point.
It's over 9,000.
Oh, dude, every single one of them is. Although except the last episode, which is weird. If this is where this is what annoys me about this. If Doctor Who were on a free YouTube channel, I think guaranteed people would basically watch the crap out of it because it is free. We are living in a society now where people can't afford to pay for their car, their car payment, their cell phone bill. People are, when we were on the strike last year, I had a part-time job where I was working at ShopRite, just because, again, writer strike. I watched so many people sit there and buy ramen noodles on bulk, and they had kids with them, 2, 3, 4 kids, and they were buying 20, 30, 50 packs of ramen noodles because they're the cheapest thing in the store. Yeah. This is the money that people are trying to pull to keep stock prices up. And this is part of the reason why people are not watching Disney Plus and would rather go to TikTok and YouTube and places like this where everything is free. Sure, you watch an ad, fine, but it's free.
Yeah.
And that's the difference. People don't have the money to spend anymore. And this is where I think this is where I think part of the problem is. And this is why I've tried to build this business model around YouTube as much as possible because everything is free of charge. And I tried to really build it that way. I wanted to, because I wanted to provide a vehicle where people can just forget about life for a while and pretty much cheers it.
Yeah.
And, you know, but yeah, they got to pay for service to see it. You know, it's not like basic cable where it's one for all. You know, again, if you want to watch the NFL this season, you have to have Netflix, Peacock, Amazon. I think YouTube TV is in there too, to watch your team, you know, as an out of market. You know, I'm a Giants fan. I'm local, so it's not that big a deal. But if I was, say, like a Chiefs fan, you know, I would have to pay for all of these if I wanted to watch every single game. Sucks.
Well, it's a good thing you're not a Chiefs fan.
Yeah, well, I know. The Chiefs are, you know, the Chiefs in my eyes are a dynasty, but I'm too counterculture. I prefer to root for really shit teams. So, but yeah, the audience pool is smaller because Disney Plus is losing its subscriber base. And again, these numbers are not official. These numbers are not, you know, on this, but it would probably be plausible that they paid like 125 million, and they might only be getting 100, maybe 125,000 views an episode. So
not if, or you're right, but not if you upgrade, Kyle.
Yeah, well,
that's the whole stupid thing now too. Is it's bad enough you're paying for the service, but hey, pay an extra $10 and you don't have to watch ads.
Well, that's the other. Well, here's the thing: I pay for YouTube. It's $14. I pay for it because I can download entire. You know, I mean, right now I'm listening to everything from Black Sabbath and Stan Bush. I go on a car ride. I download a playlist. I go, but also because of the fact, and this is something that a lot of people don't realize until you're monetized. YouTube, the monetization for YouTube also applies to people who pay for YouTube Premium. So anytime I watch something on YouTube under my account, other people get paid for it.
Yeah.
So that's something that, like I said, a lot of people don't realize that.
So does that mean you watch your own? We watch Stream Punk?
No, because the algorithm is smart enough to notice that. But I mean, if I'm sitting there watching Food Theory or, you know, anything on that, you know, or Dragon Ball Z Abridged, yeah, those guys get paid off of the fact it's not a lot because it's the algorithm. Yeah, I don't really know how the numbers work on it, but yeah, these guys get paid because I pay for YouTube Premium and I watch on the channel, you know, and I feel okay with that. So
I'm guessing Day just finished up the movie. That's cool.
Oh, you did? Okay. I just posted something? Okay.
He said he posted a video, so.
All right, I'll work on that. We're going to wrap up in a few minutes anyway. Yeah. But yeah, I'm going to Peacock on HBO Max, yeah, but.
Do we have one other topic, or did we go through all three topics?
We'll have one more, but.
Okay.
Let's see. Actually, I didn't create a thumbnail for it, so. Let's see, we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. There we go. There we go. So you, sir, are going here this weekend.
Yes.
Yes. So this is, by the way, Doctor Who is my area. GalaxyCon is yours. The floor is yours, sir.
Okay, so guys, we are going to GalaxyCon, Oklahoma City, and we have been, thanks to this wonderful guy named Scott and Stream Punk Entertainment, we have been approved to do press. I don't know what all that entails. We'll find out. Hopefully get to interview some of the people, some of the guests that are there that is one of the biggest stars I know is Anthony Starr because he doesn't do many cons. Mm-hmm. But some of the people that I think we'll have a good chance of interviewing is going to be Matt Ryan could be a possibility. We have connections with him.
Did we interview Matt Ryan already? No, we didn't.
No, we haven't. I met him at Dragon Con, but we had like a good connection thing. Maybe Stephen Amell, but I doubt it because of how long his lines will be because he always brings in people. It'd be cool if we could interview John Barrowman.
I think we can get it.
But you know, it's an incredible lineup. And you got Timothy Amunzi. I know that's a big name.
Kurt Fuller, that's a character actor going all the way back to Wayne's World. I remember him from that.
And I was gonna say Timothy was in Starship Troopers.
Who is he in Starship Troopers?
He's the psych. He's the psychic person.
Is he?
Yeah.
Huh.
I only know that because my friend's doing a cast signed piece. Yeah, Galaxy.
Dude, I would fly to that wherever that was. I read the comic sequel series to Galaxy Quest. Okay, I read Galaxy Quest 2.
Hey, here's a shameless plug, Kyle. But hey, if you go to the YouTube channel, we interviewed Bill that was in that movie. Shameless plug.
I mean, yeah, actually, Bill Cott, we just interviewed, who was the guy who's like, by Grapthar's hammer, by the sons of Wormit, and Alan Rickman just goes, grabs the picture out of his hand. But yeah, Steve Burns, Donovan Patton, we've landed them before, and Josh Delancruz.
Scott, I just had a great idea for you.
I have a great idea for you too. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry. I was gonna say with the interview, you should cut the part where he talks about it and insert the scene like you did in
Let me get my phone real quick and make a note of that.
All right, sorry. It just dawned on me. I was like, we did that with the Little House on the Prairie. That would be perfect to do with that.
Give me a second on that. Yeah, that's actually a really good idea.
I have those occasionally. So yes, and you guys see that we have Steve from Blue's Clues, Joe from Blue's Clues, and Josh, which we've interviewed. I'm hoping to get to interview with Steve because our interview didn't go the way I wanted it last time, and I've met him multiple times since then. So, but yeah, there's Star Trek.
John Delancey and Brett Spiner. I'm geeking over a little bit there.
And actually, Kate McFadden's was in the new X-Men 97 series. She voiced I think in the last episode of
by the way, we'll give Kyle props on that, but finish your thought.
I added that one, Rob. Okay. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, he did the Bill Cott one, so thank you for that.
Then you already knew. But yes, Gate was a character. I think one of the villains or female villains or something. She was in, I think, the last episode.
Was she wasn't the reporter, was she?
I don't know. I only know because somebody mentioned her name the other day, and I was watching a video and they were giving her credit to voicing. And I was like, holy crap. And then Ross McQuan is Charles Xavier in the X-Men 97 series too.
Yeah, because the other actor passed away at some point. Yeah. But Joey Fatone from NSYNC. Oh, please, my God, yes, will you?
Hey, I'll try. But we've met him before. And then John Wesley Shipp, good friends with him. So.
Oh wow, Mara Wilson from Simple Wish.
And then, or my generation knows her as Matilda. Kim Rhodes from Sweet Life and Zack and Cody.
One sec. Let's go back to Mara Wilson for a quick sec. Mara Wilson has a blog, and it's a really smart one, about what it's like to be a child actor when you turn 18. Because she had Simple Wish. She also had the remake of Miracle on 34th Street. And as a child actor, everybody adores you, loves you until you turn 18, and then you don't exist anymore. So she has a really good blog about firsthand experience of what it's like to no longer be wanted after being like a massive child actor. It's really interesting.
Wow. And then Kim Rhodes, she follows me on TikTok, so I think we should be able to.
Who is she again?
One. She's the mom from Sweet Life and Zack Cody, and then other people would know her as Sheriff Jody Miller from Supernatural.
That's the one. Okay. Daphne Zuniga, Barry Bostwick from
Butch Patrick.
Yeah. And then we move into the voice actors.
Yes, which that has been
Chris Parnell. Oh, please, will you please?
Yeah.
Chris Parnell, who plays the same voice just like H. John Benjamin, because Steve Smith sounds exactly like Dr. Spaceman, sounds exactly like the character from Archer. Phineas and Ferb, Kiana Young. We interviewed Kiana Young as the last thing too.
Yes. There's, like I said, the goal is to try to interview anybody that we can. There's some amazing creators there, like names that like Jim Shooter's going to be there this weekend. A lot of different people. And then which I think it's funny that they show all the creators. When you scroll down these, eventually you'll see the wrestlers.
All right. Well, the wrestler, let's see, literary and industry, entertainment. Okay, so this is
you gotta keep scrolling.
Gaming. All right, let's see who we got for gaming. Well, the wrestling stuff might go on Jabronis United. Kyle, feel free to give some thoughts on what you think on this one.
So I know for sure there's 2 we will not be able to interview, and that's due to contracts, and that is Ron Simmons and Lex Luger. I already know are off the table.
All right. I'm going to pregame you when we're done here on a couple of things when it comes to this.
But the 2 that I think we should be able to interview because I have connections with is Mick Foley and Jerry Lawler, the King.
All right. Lawler, I need to talk to you about that because we had the ACW event. And the people that basically were at the ACW event that Kyle assisted on, thank you, by the Rich, have a lot of ties to Jerry Lawler. So that's probably going to help you there. So we'll talk about that in due course. Lex Luger will be pretty cool, but we might throw a lot of that stuff up in Jabroni United.
I was going to say Ron and Lex won't, because we saw Ron and Lex at Arkansas Comic-Con, and I tried to interview them, and they said they can't due to their contract with WWE.
One thing I learned about Wrestle Show NJ over the weekend is that there's a lot of very strict things when it comes to stuff like this.
Yeah.
Because basically Ryan and Davion were at Wrestle Show NJ over the weekend, interviewing a lot of the wrestlers, and we noticed that there was a lot of strict things, even when they were pressing everything. There was a lot of, because again, these are sometimes really, really high level, like AEW, WWE types. So there was a lot to protect on that.
Yeah.
Credit to Ryan, by the way. He put out a small little fire that I think was really, really good on that. But so we'll talk. You and I are going to talk when this is over about being able to do this, because there's a lot to be had from something like this.
Yeah.
Kyle, by the way, if you're watching, I have added 1, possibly 2 more editors. So it is not falling on you because we have the pay-per-view stuff we got to go into. We have all of the ones from Wrestle Show, which, boy, we got a lot of stuff on that. Plus, like the 12 or 13 that you have that I have not finished yet. Timmy from Lassie, all the rest of them. So,
Rob with all the interviews.
I mean, dude, this is my entire company is basically just 60% interviewing people more famous than they're ever going to be, and 40% like commercial / pay-per-view. That's the entire company. And you know what? It's working.
Right, exactly. And Rob just says, "Hey, we're doing press for this. We're interviewing this person."
Like I said, here's the thing. I told this to JD. I am God tier level when it comes to stirring up interest and basically getting people interested in stuff. Closing on a money side, I'm a little weaker, but I can basically make an Eskimo interested and nice.
Yeah, exactly.
But like I said, so at least I got that kind of thing. So.
Shout out to anybody that is watching this. If you are by the Oklahoma area, this is Oklahoma's GalaxyCon. That's this coming up weekend from the 24th through the 26th. You just saw the lineup. It has a fabulous lineup. So if you get the chance, definitely come down. There's going to be panels. There's after party events. I mean, there's different stuff. There's events that last until 2 a.m. in the morning. I mean, I was seeing like the thing, and so Rob is going to try to I'm going to try to treat this con a little different and try to actually get footage, some more videos, some more actually recording stuff, because my friend's got some equipment too, so I'm going to have him record stuff.
Love it.
So yeah, I'm very excited about this event, and yes, for anyone wondering, as long as I can find my wig, I will be Buddy the Elf, because that's what I am known for.
I pre-gamed that with Blaine Howard, who's like the PR guy over there. I did tell him that you're going to cosplay as Buddy the Elf. So
okay, yeah. As long as I can find my wig, which I think it's over that way, but we should be able to put it all together. That way we can spread some Christmas cheer. But yeah, I'm very excited for that event. I'm very blessed to be able to do press for the event and be able to bring the cons to you guys that can't afford to go or can't get the time off or whatever. You get a little experience of it.
Nice.
So,
all right, cool. So that's all of it basically. Yeah, a lot of good stuff on this. Little stronger hits against Disney today, I think, than I was planning on, but it ended up being one.
We kind of said, "Hey, Disney."
And by the way, as you can see, apologies, my ring light is currently out, which is why I'm a little darker today than normal. So
you look,
I can't get I have the ring light right here. Under normal circumstances, it works, but it's not plugged in. I couldn't get it.
To be honest, I don't see much of a difference, or maybe I'm just.
Well, the darker it is, the less you can see of me, which is probably the best thing for it. So yeah, but all right. Thanks as always. I appreciate it. Rob, anything else?
Stay awesome and do something to make somebody else smile.
There you go. Be good. Cheers.
And